Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. The Miami Dolphins have made an under-the-radar move that's more about depth and familiarity than a major splash. They've brought back cornerback Cornell Armstrong, a name that might ring a bell if you've been following the team since 2018. This marks Armstrong's second stint with Miami, after being drafted by the Dolphins in the 6th round of the 2018 NFL Draft. While it's not the headline-grabbing signing fans might have been hoping for, it's a move that signals the front office is preparing for the long grind of the season ahead. Armstrong's return comes at a moment of need, as the team just lost Artie Burns to a season-ending ACL injury. Though Armstrong's arrival won't dominate sports talk shows or go viral on social media, it adds a layer of experience and depth to a secondary that has been dealing with both injuries and inconsistencies. And sometimes, that's exactly what a contending team needs in mid-July. Cornell Armstrong's NFL journey has been anything but smooth. After being drafted by the Dolphins back in 2018, he appeared in 15 games during his rookie season, making modest contributions with 8 total tackles. But like many late-round picks, the margin for error was slim, and Armstrong was waived before the start of the 2019 season. From there, he bounced around the league, spending time with the Texans, and most recently with the Atlanta Falcons, where he saw meaningful playing time in 2022. That season with the Falcons was arguably his most productive stint, tallying 33 tackles, 7 pass breakups, and 4 starts in 9 games. Still, he didn't stick long-term. He spent last season on the Raiders' practice squad and didn't see the field during the regular season. His career arc tells the story of a gritty veteran fighting to keep his dream alive. And now he's back where it all began, trying once more to prove he belongs. The timing of this signing makes a lot of sense when you consider the Dolphins' current situation in the secondary. Losing Artie Burns to an ACL tear was a significant blow, not because Burns was a guaranteed starter, but because he was one of several players vying for a potentially key role. Miami has young corners like Storm Duck and Cam Smith competing hard, and veterans like Kendall Sheffield trying to make a case as well. Armstrong's addition doesn't necessarily leapfrog him into starter contention, but it does give Miami a plug-and-play option on special teams and emergency depth in the defensive backfield. The team knows him, he knows some of the system and the culture, and that counts for something, especially in a league where continuity is rare. Bringing back a guy who's already been through your building can be a small but useful win, especially as training camp battles heat up and injuries begin to pile up. Of course, this move raises questions about whether the Dolphins are done shopping for cornerback help. According to multiple reports, including one from ESPN's Adam Schefter, Miami has a standing offer out to former Buffalo Bills cornerback Rasul Douglas, a proven starter with high-end talent. Adding Douglas would certainly change the conversation, as he would step in and immediately become one of the team's most reliable cover guys. That's not the kind of opportunity Armstrong is being brought in for. His signing doesn't close any doors, as head coach Mike McDaniel made clear earlier this week. Instead, Armstrong fills a niche role. He's someone who understands the grind, who has experience, and who can give you decent snaps in a pinch if things go sideways. He's also someone who likely doesn't cost much against the cap, keeping Miami flexible for any bigger moves still to come. What makes this story a little more compelling is the element of the full-circle journey. How often do you see a player return to the team that originally drafted him, especially after so many years away and multiple team stints in between? Armstrong's return to Miami isn't just a transactional footnote, it's a small narrative about perseverance, about the league's unpredictability, and about relationships. His agent, Brett Tessler, announced the signing on Twitter, now X, and it quickly spread across Dolphin circles, surprising some who might have assumed Miami was done looking at veterans. The reality is, training camp is long and demanding. Coaches need healthy bodies. General managers need insurance, and sometimes those two needs intersect perfectly with a player who knows the drill and won't flinch when the lights come on. Armstrong might not be flashy, but his return does have an oddly poetic symmetry. That said, it's an uphill battle for Armstrong to make the final 53-man roster. Miami's secondary is deep with youth and potential. Guys like Cam Smith were high draft picks who the team expects to develop into major contributors. Then you've got undrafted rookies like Storm Duck who've been turning heads with their physicality and understanding of the system. Not to mention veterans like Eli Apple and Nick Needham who bring experience and versatility. Armstrong enters this crowded room with no guarantees. He'll have to outwork and outshine players who are younger, more athletic, and maybe even more in sync with the current playbook. But what he brings to the table is knowledge of what it takes to survive in the league. He's been on practice squads, he's been inactive, he's been released, and sometimes that kind of veteran savvy can separate a bubble player from the rest when decisions are made in late August. Coach Mike McDaniel, as usual, played things close to the vest when asked about the possibility of adding a veteran cornerback. His comments were typically measured, expressing support for the guys already in the building while leaving the door wide open for reinforcements. "We're not closing the door on anything," McDaniel said. "There are multiple players we talk about each and every day. That's coach speak for. We're evaluating all our options." But it also hints at how this regime operates. They're not looking for headlines, they're looking for fits. Armstrong might not move the needle from a fan perspective, but if he fills a gap in special teams coverage or serves as a steadying influence in a young room, then this signing will have served its purpose. McDaniel values versatility, dependability, and players who can maximize limited opportunities, traits Armstrong has carried with him throughout his career. There's also the special teams factor to consider. In today's NFL, the third phase of the game is often overlooked until it isn't. Armstrong has experience contributing on kick and punt coverage, and that alone might be his ticket to sticking around. Coaches love veterans who know how to execute in those high-leverage, high-speed situations. Armstrong's size, speed, and tackling ability make him a decent option for those roles, especially if injuries start affecting other position groups. And while fans might focus more on who's locking down receivers on third and long, coaches are just as focused on who's making tackles inside the 20 on kickoff coverage. If Armstrong can prove he still has the wheels and instincts for those kinds of reps, he'll increase his value tenfold. For a player trying to revive a career, that's where the opportunity lies, not in headlines, but in hustle plays that go unnoticed on the stat sheet. Armstrong's story might not captivate the average NFL viewer, but for football diehards, it's an example of the grind that so many players live through. Drafted late, released early, bouncing from team to team, it's the harsh reality for a huge portion of the league, and yet Armstrong keeps finding a way back. His ability to stay physically and mentally ready is commendable, especially in a profession where job security is a luxury. Miami knows who he is, they know his strengths, his limitations, and his work ethic. And they believe, even if only slightly, that he can add something meaningful to this group. Whether that translates into a roster spot remains to be seen, but for now, Armstrong has another shot to walk back into the building he once called home. That's not just a transaction, it's a reminder of how unpredictable and cyclical the NFL can be for the players chasing the dream. So what should Dolphins fans take away from all this? Is Cornell Armstrong the answer to the team's depth concerns at cornerback? Probably not. But he is a step in a direction that prioritizes experience, familiarity, and low-risk upside. Miami is still likely to make at least one more move in the secondary before the season begins, especially with Russell Douglas still in the conversation. But in the meantime, Armstrong gives them another body for training camp, another veteran voice in the room, and possibly another special teams contributor if he can show he still has some juice left in those legs. His story won't dominate the headlines, but it adds a layer of depth to the Dolphins' off-season narrative, and sometimes those are the kinds of moves that matter most when injuries hit and rosters get tight. Armstrong might just be here for a cup of coffee, or he might surprise everyone. Either way, he's earned another shot. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments, what's your take on the Fins this week? Miami is buzzing with excitement as whispers circulate about the latest sensation terrorizing the Dolphins' defensive line, HENDRICKSON. Rumors are spreading fast among fans and insiders alike that this player might be the game changer Miami has desperately needed. Imagine a force so relentless, so fierce, that opposing quarterbacks start shaking at the mere mention of his name. That's the kind of aura HENDRICKSON is allegedly building. While official sources remain tight-lipped, those close to the team hint at explosive training camp performances and a hunger that's almost palpable. If the rumors hold water, Miami's defense could transform from good to downright terrifying this season. Analysts speculate this could be the start of a new era, where HENDRICKSON isn't just a player, but a symbol of Miami's defensive dominance. The buzz is mounting, and it's impossible not to get caught up in the excitement. Word on the street is that Hendrickson's impact on the Dolphins' defensive line is already being felt behind closed doors. Teammates reportedly can't stop praising his work ethic and natural instinct to read offenses before they even unfold. If these reports prove true, Hendrickson might become the cornerstone of Miami's defense, a player coaches build their strategies around. Fans have been starved for a dominant defensive presence, and he could be the answer they've been dreaming of. The speculation intensifies as preseason games approach, with many wondering how many quarterbacks will fall victim to his relentless pressure. The narrative is building, suggesting that Hendrickson's rise is more than just hype. It could be a genuine seismic shift in the balance of power in the league. Miami might just be the new fortress, all thanks to this defensive terror. Industry insiders are increasingly convinced that Hendrickson's presence is shaking up the defensive scheme Miami employs. Coaches might be adjusting their playbooks to maximize his strengths, knowing he can wreak havoc in the backfield. This kind of influence on a team's tactics rarely comes from just any player. It signals something special. There's a growing buzz that Hendrickson's blend of speed, strength, and football IQ is unlike anything Miami has seen in years. Rumors suggest the coaching staff has been tailoring packages specifically designated for him to unleash havoc on opposing offenses. If true, this would mean Miami is preparing for a season where their defense isn't just solid but downright suffocating. The speculation that Hendrickson could be the key piece to unlock this defensive juggernaut is spreading like wildfire among sports talk circles. Among the die-hard Dolphins fans, the anticipation around Hendrickson is reaching fever pitch. Online forums and social media are flooded with discussions, memes, and hot takes about the new terror on the defensive line. Some fans claim to have insider info on his preseason dominance, while others eagerly await game footage that will surely confirm the hype. It's becoming clear that Hendrickson's reputation is preceding him, setting high expectations before the first snap of the regular season. This kind of buzz has a way of building momentum that can uplift an entire franchise, and Miami appears to be riding that wave. Whether Hendrickson lives up to the towering expectations remains to be seen, but the sheer excitement surrounding him is undeniable and is shaping the narrative. Heading into the season, sports analysts are now weighing in with their own takes on the Hendrickson phenomenon. Many are suggesting that his impact could shift how opposing teams approach Miami's offense and defense. The theory is that with Hendrickson pressuring quarterbacks relentlessly, offenses will need to change their game plans drastically. This ripple effect could lead to more turnovers and give Miami's offense better field position, game-changing factors in tight matchups. The possibility that one player's rise could influence so many facets of the game has experts buzzing. Some pundits even speculate that Hendrickson might be a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year, given his potential to disrupt defenses at an elite level. The speculation alone is enough to keep Dolphins fans glued to their screens. Rumors also hint at Hendrickson's background story, adding layers to the mystique. There are whispers that he overcame significant challenges to reach this point, which only fuels the narrative of a rising star hungry for success. This underdog story, if confirmed, could make his journey even more compelling, inspiring fans and teammates alike. The rumor mill suggests that his motivation isn't just about personal glory, but a deep desire to elevate the entire Dolphin squad. If this is true, it paints a picture of a player with not only talent but heart and leadership qualities, essential traits for someone to truly become a defensive terror. The emotional aspect of this story is resonating with many, enhancing the intrigue surrounding his role in Miami's future. Some insiders speculate that Hendrickson's impact could extend beyond just the defensive line. There's chatter that his presence is uplifting the entire team's morale, creating a culture of toughness and resilience. This kind of intangible effect can be just as valuable as on-field performance. Miami might be experiencing a shift in locker room dynamics, where younger players feel more motivated and veterans see renewed energy. If Hendrickson is indeed the spark everyone claims, this could signal a broader transformation within the franchise. The possibility that one defensive player could catalyze a cultural renaissance is a tantalizing rumor that's gaining traction. For Miami, this might mean more than just wins. It could mean a new identity forged by a single dominant force. Looking ahead, the preseason games are being viewed as a proving ground for Hendrickson. Fans and analysts alike are eager to see if the rumors translate into real on-field dominance. Every snap he plays will be dissected for signs that he is living up to the hype. The pressure is mounting not just on him but on the entire defensive unit. To back up the growing narrative, some suggest that the coaching staff might even design special packages to showcase his abilities, putting him in the spotlight. This upcoming stretch of games could be the moment when speculation turns into undeniable fact, solidifying Hendrickson's status as Miami's defensive terror. The build-up is palpable, and everyone is watching closely. There's also chatter about how opposing teams might start to prepare specifically for Hendrickson. Rumors are swirling that game plans will need to account for his presence, forcing double teams or altered blocking schemes. This kind of attention from opponents is often the hallmark of a truly disruptive defensive player. If Miami's coaches and players can capitalize on this by exploiting the space opened up elsewhere, the entire defense could become more effective. The possibility that Hendrickson draws so much focus it weakens other areas creates a fascinating strategic angle. This could be the kind of chess match in football that shifts entire seasons, making Hendrickson not just a terror, but a strategic weapon Miami's opponents fear. Lastly, the buzz around Hendrickson is not just about his potential but also what he symbolizes for Miami's future. The Dolphins have been on the cusp of greatness before, but the rumors suggest this time might be different. Hendrickson might be the cornerstone of a defense that finally breaks through, challenges for titles, and redefines the franchise's identity. The excitement around him captures the hopes of an entire fan base ready to believe in a new era. While it's still early in all speculation, the possibility that Miami's defensive line now has a true terror is fueling dreams of glory. Whether Hendrickson lives up to the legend remains to be seen, but the whispers alone are enough to make Miami feel unstoppable. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up!